I'm going to move on to my next section. I still have two sections and less time left, so I'm going to try and run through it. Herd immunity, you briefly mentioned about it, that we are a long way away. I have a different question. Last time you left us with how to prevent it, and as the best possible scenario, you said hand washing, physical distancing, and mask wearing. Although the mask wearing may not help in development of herd immunity, and neither would the other two. My question is, does herd immunity or can herd immunity apply in human communities? Because from what I read, I understood that herd immunity came from cattle. So there's some sort of report and articles which seem to suggest that herd immunity may not be the answer.
No, I think it comes from cattle, but most other infectious diseases have been dealt with by a mass vaccination program and therefore developing herd immunity. For example, smallpox, for example, because of a very aggressive vaccination program by the WHO back in the 70s and 80s, our herd immunity is so high, we don't have to deal with smallpox anymore. Influenza, most of the rationale behind vaccinating a community up to 80-90% is so that you have herd immunity. And yes, it very much applies to a human population. That's the one way that very infectious diseases have been kept at bay for many, many decades now.
And in your view, what percentage of population needs to be affected before herd immunity kicks in?
70 to 80%.
70 to 80%. So the peak would really be the halfway mark. So it would be 35 to 40%. So if we haven't seen the peak at 35 to 40%, I don't know the empirical data, one has to go back and check, but you say 70 to 80%.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to move to vaccine.
Sorry, if I just may add a small thing on the herd immunity, so in the US, there was a lot of political back and forth about these lockdowns, especially in New York City. And one of the politicians that brought up that New York City had herd immunity, which is why we're not seeing an uptick. And it was very quickly shot down by the scientists saying that at best, New York City has 22% herd immunity. And that is by no means a protective level. And, till a vaccine comes. So just to put in point, Sweden, one of the countries in the Scandinavian countries, adopted the model that we'll just let things flow and we'll let herd immunity develop and we won't shut down. And their mortality compared to neighboring Scandinavian countries is 3 to 4-fold. So just opening up everything, waiting for herd immunity to come will come at a huge expense to life.
Yeah, and I'm not an expert on the Swedish model, but I gave it a read, and I think they did it for a second reason, that the economy doesn't suffer. And when you compared it with neighbors, the economy didn't do as well either. So on both counts, it didn't work. But again, I may be there are for another day, discussion for another day.